It's one way to get around copyright laws. Hopefully you knew what that song was. If not, I did my best. My whistler's not working so hot this morning, par for the course. But all you need is just a little patience. And I'm trying to bear with it with my own patience. I'm here in the office today. Don't have my stuff yet. But I was informed it's going to be here by Friday. So all things good. Should be okay. Should be doing the AMA tomorrow night for the our Patreons. Wednesday at 8 p.m. as we normally do it. As you may have noticed, I found a new hairstylist who got a little bit more aggressive than I expected. But hey, let me know what you think of the look. Should I grow the beard fully back in? Should I keep the goatee, which I believe is actually a Van Dyke? Again, if you know, you know. I feel like I was losing a lot of hair and weight at the same time, but it is what it is. Some people said I looked younger. Who knows? Leave a comment down below if what you think of the haircut. It's everybody. When you're on YouTube, it's all fair and game. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about patience and also about the events that happened over the past weekend. 15 votes to get to a certain situation in new Speaker of the House, and how that impacts the financial world and cryptocurrency. So I found a lot of different stories that came out, a lot of different thoughts, but this one from the New York Times, and I read things that are slanted in the other direction just to get a different perspective and see what they're saying. But let me share my screen and talk to you about this particular article from the New York Times that came out on January 9th. And I'll walk through it. I really could have highlighted the whole thing, but I'll walk through just a few pieces of it, and where they were talking about congressional gridlock brought by far-right Republicans, more brinksmanship. The House Speaker elections last week turned a typically routine government procedure into a dramatic affair. This is how it's supposed to go. And believe it or not, I saw a lot of historical numbers. We are a republic, not a democracy. There's a big difference. It's a representative republic. There are people that are elected to represent their constituents. It's not a mob rule mentality, which gives a voice through the Electoral College, through these debates, through these smaller factions. They have a voice now because they can swing. Like the two-party system, I could go on and on about that. But anyway, this is the way it's supposed to be. It's the way it's always been. But in the last 100 years or so, it seemed to be a rubber stamp on the speaker. That didn't happen this time. So, and highlighted in yellow, they also exposed a major vulnerability in Congress. A small segment of lawmakers can stop the process of basic governance to obtain what it wants, with potentially big ramifications for the country. Now, I'm going to pause there and speak to you guys once again. They said that, let me get the wording again. They said a major vulnerability. That is a negative connotation. And here's a little challenge for you. Whenever you read any article from media, whether it's left, right, however it slants, challenge you to read it first, see how it makes you feel, then read it again without the adjectives. Just take out they also exposed a major vulnerability. Well, this one, I mean, the words that they chose were more than the adjectives, but in any event, this is the way that the government's supposed to work. It was built this way because it now gives a voice to everybody. And it's not a vulnerability. That's a negative connotation. It's actually a feature. It allows a group, I don't want to call it a faction because that also has a negative connotation too, but a minority, and a large minority, it was anywhere from 7 to 20 people. But because of the way that was pretty much split down the middle, where that third group went was going to get the decision. So let me go back to the article and walk through the rest of it here. So now walking back through this again, let me scroll down some more. The graver consequences. So again, graver. Why does it have to be grave? The consequences will unfold months from now if the ultra conservatives, again, over description, who prolong the speaker selection again withhold their votes until they have their way on looming spending bills. Again, this is the way it's supposed to work. If they don't like things, they are allowed to voice their opposition or even vote their opposition. Congress must pass such legislation to keep the government open and avoid economic calamity. There are some people that are kind of rooting for economic calamity at this point. If deadlines for these bills come and go without a resolution, the government could be forced to shut down or worse, default on its debt obligations, likely triggering a financial crisis. More on that later. So this article keeps going on about it. I'm kind of in favor of this forced shutdown and this crisis, which has to happen at some point. Deliberate gridlock. Again, the connotation that they put on the spin, they put on. Consider some of the assurances the holdout Republicans received from McCarthy. More time to read and debate legislation, as well as to propose unlimited changes to it. In theory, these changes might sound like common sense, and they are, since legislators should ideally be taking time to understand and finalize bills. But in practice, these kinds of allowances have slowed Congress's work, if not halted it altogether, by giving lawmakers more chances to stand in the way of any kind of legislation. Now, I got to pause again. If you think passing $1,000+ page budget virtually sight unseen, and how often have we seen that in the last decade or more, where they have this whole thing ready and it's like reams of paper, 3-4 reams of paper, it comes out in pallets. It's just ginormous, like these bills that they have. And it's all loaded with things that you have to vote either yes or no. You can't pull things out of it. They don't have line item veto. But how can you possibly vote on 1,000 pages of legislation without reading it? And then often what happens is that it gets voted through, and then people find things in it 2 or 3 days later, 2, 3, 4 days later. If they had taken the time to read it in the first place, they would have found that there all this pork, all these issues that shouldn't be in there. Like, why is this in the budget? Why is money for African American studies for this particular university, or money going to Africa in our budget? Why is that? So those things get jammed in there in the middle of 1,000+ pages. Can't find it because you have to vote right away. Anyway, let's get back to the article. There we go. So yeah, after the common sense part, I love how in theory it sounds like common sense. So coming deadlines. If the ultra-conservatives use these tactics in future legislative debates, Congress could miss deadlines to keep the government open and avoid a financial crisis. Among the looming fights is one over the debt limit. If the government ever reaches this limit, it can no longer borrow money to pay off its debts, potentially forcing a default. That could cause serious damage to the global financial system, which relies on U.S. Treasuries as a safe investment. It's one of the safer ones that, historically speaking. The government is expected to hit the current debt limit in late summer. What's happening in late summer again? CBDCs? Okay. Republicans have already suggested that they will try to use negotiations over raising it to, that's the debt limit, raising the debt limit to draw spending concessions from Senate Democrats in the Biden administration, a tactic the conservatives used during Barack Obama's presidency. But Democrats have said that they will not negotiate over the debt limit this time. So it sounds like the Democrats are hardlining on the debt ceiling. I don't know what direction. I think they just want to raise it. So it's really not this small faction that's going to be causing the shutdown. It sounds like to be the Democrats, if this becomes the issue. If both sides stick to their word, the government could be on track for the most treacherous debt limit debate since 2011. Similarly, the government will have to pass a spending bill in September to remain open. Republicans have again suggested that they will use their control of the House to reduce government spending. Democrats have said they will push back. If both sides fall short of an agreement, the government will shut down, halting or slowing functions like the payment of military salaries, environmental or food inspection, and management of national parks. We don't really need national park management after October 1st. But that's entirely, I mean, yes, we do need it in theory, but not a lot. Most of the time that we need in the national parks is spring and summer, and maybe a touch of fall. Like wintertime, kind of let the parks go. I think, maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to know that. But I just wanted to share this article with you, give you a perspective of what's going on out there and why this is actually probably a good thing. And again, this is the way our government was designed on purpose. Remember, probably a lot of people don't remember history. A lot of people didn't. It was found it boring. But almost 250 years ago, we were forming a new nation where it was completely different than everything else. And they put things in place. They thought through this a lot. They wanted representation for the underdog, for the smaller masses, to let them have a voice. So the way that they constructed this government, the Electoral College, through these committees, through debates, and the allowing for small groups to kind of petition. I mean, this is the way it works in other places like France, where they have pluralities instead of like two parties. Two parties, we also talk like the red or the blue, the left or the right. But the Republicans and Democrats have made this a two-party country for the most part, and they made the funding for people, like for when you're going to campaign, you have to be certain. You have to be a certain size, and the Republicans and Democrats, it's way favor toward being either Republican or Democrat. Very hard for an independent or any other party to break into be a third party. It's much easier in other countries. But because there's two parties, if factions of either party get to like one way or the other, they can swing things. But if constituents vote for that type of person to represent them, then they're doing their job by representing their interest that they were voted in on. So what are your thoughts? Do you think that this impending financial crisis in the summer or the fall with a budget or the debt ceiling? And if you don't know about the debt ceiling, if you want to know a video about a debt ceiling, let me know in the description. I'll maybe make one of those. But there's going to be an AMA tomorrow night. I don't know if I'm going to get to a video. This weekend is going to be harder to get more videos out. I will see what I can do, but I'll be hopefully back on the normal schedule next week. Lots going on over here, but with all that said, I'm going to close the drawer on the bureau for now. Say follow the leader. I will talk to you soon. Take care.